Butt freckle.
Oh,
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in tonight on the Faith Live broadcast. We're so excited to have you back. Joining us in Studio A. We got an exciting topic here tonight. I'm excited to ask Pastor Allyn some questions concerning things going on in the world today, and I'm sure he'll approach them from a biblical perspective. And so if you've been looking at the news, you've been watching mainstream media, you've been wondering what is going on out here, we hope to have some answers for you tonight. And
it's going to have some fun interaction.
it's going to be wild.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about this, I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. It gives people the ability to interact with us.
Yeah.
And,
And one of the things, and I was glad that you decided to do something like this for tonight, was that many times people just look at the news and then don't know what to think about it. Like, what do I think about that? Because I care about those people over there as a Christian, but obviously we're making some moves as a nation, and there's a lot of interesting topics that we're gonna go over.
Okay,
so how do you
right.
decide, like, what do I think about this?
Just so you know, I have no idea what he's going to ask me. I'm going to get him, at the same time you are, and that way we can all interact together, and it should be fun.
Yeah, it should
Charlie,
be fun.
what's up? You know what? Winning souls in Tacoma. Praise the Lord. I can't wait for you to get your house down here, place to live down here where you can, even be more active winning souls for the church and for the kingdom. Praise the Lord. I think it's awesome. Excited about that.
Did you see how slow I drank my coffee? It was like
That's hilarious. Pastor Mom is on the broadcast tonight.
Come on, Pastor Mom.
Love it.
So glad y'all could join us.
Oh my. Yeah, that's cool.
I'll just wait for a few more to get on unless you want me to lead into this.
Oh, no.
But I mean, there it is.
Charlie, what's up? I was just thinking, about some things for the broadcast, son. But, I think we're at a place where instead of the curtain, behind the curtain. Yeah. Hey, sis.
Behind the
Thanks
curtain.
for joining behind the curtain here.
Yeah, I'm going to face you
I think,
tonight. Check this
like
out.
it's kind of, it would be a little bit, we could go next level
Look at
maybe.
this.
Like
Look
if
at
we
this.
could,
No, you guys did it.
And then, and if we could also like have some, like maybe background music.
We probably could.
Playing like while we're going, maybe like a
upgrades.
green screen.
I'm sure there's some
like
upgrades.
we
I don't know about the
could
green
throw
screen.
out the green screen, like where we could
look,
maybe get something. Hey, Miss Sharon, how you doing? Michaela,
Hi, Miss Sharon.
howdy. I like
Howdy.
that. The black hole. That's funny, Brandy. The black hole.
There it is.
Yes.
Hey, you remember how we first started at this place?
Oh my goodness! There was.
You guys did a
nothing
broadcast with cement everywhere. This
Cement.
wood was not up. Remember, it was
Nothing.
bare.
It was so
It was
hot.
bare.
It was so
What are we
hot,
looking at?
Stephen.
What'd I
It was
do?
so hot.
No,
so hot.
no, everybody's like sweating. We got lights on in
Oh
here,
my
trying to get the proper
goodness.
lighting. Let's eliminate the
Hey,
shadows.
we've come a long way. But I think it's time to take this to the next step.
No, I
like
agree.
instead of like this black.
That's true.
Whoa, what's going on back here?
We could find a
Maybe
cool
we could
set.
get like where we're talking about something. We could have a graphic.
Yeah.
I think that there's that Bible app that
Which
you
one?
could use.
Canva? That's not
No,
Bible
no.
app.
It was. Remember, Pastor Mark had the
No.
program in Bible school and started. I think it started with an L.
I actually don't know. I don't know what.
It was a whole program, a whole Bible app program.
Oh, Logos.
Logos.
What the-
Logos
yeah,
Bible
yeah,
app.
Logos,
And
yeah.
it had like, oh man, everybody at the same time it finally clicked. Logos.
Everybody
The
got-
Logos Bible app had like
I'm a
visuals. Like
Rhema man
if
myself.
you wanted to talk about like Moses or whatever,
Yeah.
Noah
Yeah.
building the ark, then they had
Yeah.
pictures and like interactive
Yeah,
video
true.
with it. It was so cool. And man, that is like, it's easy, but maybe just like a little background music playing right now would be kind of nice. Something to mix it up a little bit. And
I'm sure we could figure something out.
I'm just thinking, what do you think?
Where's the Rhema?
The
No,
word?
that's what I said. Brandy, that's what I said. I said, but I'm more of a Rhema man myself.
You are just the word, strictly the word.
Yeah, it's the spoken word.
Oh my God! Yeah, exactly. Stephen would be a floating head.
That's what I'm talking about.
Perfect. That black sweatshirt up against the
Wow,
backdrop.
it really
just
does look like I'm
Holy
floating
Ghost,
like this.
and then a little head, like a little head.
Like where my hands
chopped
go,
out.
my hands are going.
Those little memes. We could just take your head off right
You know?
now and put somebody else's on. Do a little AI
Yeah,
interaction.
well,
Oh my!
I'm just making sure that full capability is, anything needed to be done later for editing purposes. You could put whoever needs
The
to be
floating
here.
head. The floating head. Can we make that head float again? Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, that's too funny.
That's
well,
cool.
What's up?
Yeah.
Miss Sharon, we miss you. We love you. Believe in God. Big things for you up there. Hope everything's going well. Jerry, thank you for watching us from Tootle. We love you. Appreciate you watching, tuning in. It's always encouraging to see people online participating with the broadcast. And sometimes, when you're doing that, you start to feel like you know people really well from that. But just really appreciate everybody watching and joining in with us and interacting with us tonight. So what's up, son? What's going on?
Well, I don't know how many of you guys took a current world problems class, or nowadays what do they call it, current world issues class.
We don't call things problems. They're issues.
The current world issues class, CWI.
We have solutions.
When I was in school, it was current world problems, or the things that were going on in the world at the time. And so, what's that?
Yeah.
Keeps conversations from being clearly understandable.
It's probably true, the background music, but I'm really going after like that next level, trying to bring up the broadcast to the next level. I mean, we have amazing gear, but we need, it's time doing a little upgrade.
Concerning current world problems, music is one of them.
Yes.
All right, I did prepare here a list of 15 things. I think several of them, just as they would come to me, I would write them out. So several of them are actually out of order, and you could potentially throw into subcategories.
Just so you know, I'm taking a pop quiz right now.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
he has
idea. He's just
he has no
dropping
clue what I got here.
And so you're gonna hear it at the same time.
And because of his vision, like he can't see at this range. Somebody's like, I know they're out there right now. Like he's just looking over reading, but right here he can't actually. If I kept it like right here, you know what I mean? Like we're safe.
I could see it now, maybe if I was looking, but I'm not.
So I'll hold it up, all right?
That's funny.
But he doesn't know what I prepared. What I looked for was just some of the things that were going on in the world today. So, what is one of the hottest topics that you can see on the news? We just had a foreign prime minister come in, or a leader, a president of a nation come in, and I think most people saw the communication of it in a very negative aspect. And so that would be the Trump-Zelensky thing, which ultimately ties into the Ukraine-Russian war and our position in it, how we've supplied weapons in the past and things. And so as a person that doesn't want to see war, I'm a Christian, right? We're Christians. As people that don't want to see war taking place and seeing people innocently slaughtered for no reason, what are your thoughts on this? As of today, he actually announced a 30-day ceasefire. Zelensky did. So between the conversations between Trump, everybody was yelling, "No way he can talk like that. Why are they able to, talk to Zelensky?" And this is just number one. But I mean, just as they come to you, you can go ahead and just roll them.
Okay, so we're talking about the Ukraine-Russia war, and so like.
There's obviously historical things too.
There's obviously historical things, and if you study history, obviously Vietnam, Korea, all of these were kind of the communist against, That was
there was
whole
a
deal.
huge
We
party
were fighting
push.
communism.
Yeah.
So you saw communist China, communist Russia, against, democracies. And even though we're a constitutional republic, it seems like the U.S. has been kind of consistent with, England and its allies at helping defend democracies around the world. So that's, that's really simplifying things.
Yeah.
But fast forward to where we're at here with Ukraine, and I think it's just a continuation of the war machine that is taking place. I think the first Trump administration did a great job at keeping that Russian-Ukraine war from taking place. I think it was primed
Yeah.
under Obama.
Interesting.
I think it was ready to go. I think Russia wanted to take it, and because the same things that the U.S. wants in Ukraine is the same reason that Russia is going after it. They want the minerals. They want the money, the finances that's
Oh,
available there.
there's a lot of natural resource there, huh?
Lots of natural
I didn't know that.
resources. So the rare earth and the things that you hear Trump talking about are things that both sides are wanting. I think the difference being is that obviously the allies that we would consider our allies today do not want those rights in the hands of communist China and Russia.
Right.
And if I was to look at it consistently from the perspective of the Bible, you look at the people that are listed in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, Gog, Magog, all of the people that are there. I think you start to see where that line, the Russian-China line up there, is an interesting place to say the least. And so I think there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I do think there's things going on. I think we're consistently involving ourselves as like the world police force. And that I personally am not a fan of the things that we do. Like, I don't think that we should be in every country trying to, run a police force in every nation. Every nation should be kind of standing on their own and the best that they can. And obviously, we stand up for righteousness. But in this case, that war, I think the reason that it's coming to this peace or ceasefire is because the people in power in Russia and around the world believe that when Trump says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Now, that's just, take all politics out of it. They think if he says, hey, I'm going to do this, then their thought is, pretty sure he's going to do it. His track record shows that. So just in this instance, you can see that the negotiating power has been strengthened in the U.S. because his word is his bond type thing.
Sure.
And that really matters. It's a big deal. And
so like, what's your thoughts on the war as a whole? Like as far as our as far as like our involvement in it, like, why don't we just go send troops in there then to stop Russia? Because
it's not our war to do that. And essentially, Trump's gonna by doing what he's doing, he's establishing that line by getting a trade. Basically, he's signing a trade pact with Ukraine and allowing American businessmen. They'll be able to buy and put businesses in the Ukraine, in that area, and essentially it stops the war, because if Russia attacks,
they're attacking
U.S. interest. Yeah. So it puts an end to that and allows the Ukrainian people to establish themselves and have peace. Yeah. And ultimately,
wait, what was that part again?
They'll have peace by having the United States as their ally in strength and owning businesses. I mean, if you start having U.S. businesses there, then it changes everything. When Russia doesn't want to start a war with us.
Right.
First off, they can't financially do it. Secondly, they're just not in that position to do that. China would be in a better position than they are, but definitely not. But it should have never happened. This should have never happened. But since it has, now you see what happens. I think what's taking place currently in Ukraine, my opinion, is that it's the best thing that we could do.
Oh, yeah. Marcus, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Pastor Marcus, you're right.
I forgot about that. I saw that.
And Ukraine wanted to join the UN, which would cause World War III.
Because previous presidents, right, had said, like, we will not let Ukraine in because that's direct border to you.
What you're seeing here, though, is a complete shift in our nation from a nation to from a globalist position. Like, if you heard the previous, president talk, when you could hear him. If you heard him talk, his agenda basically is a global agenda.
Yeah, sure.
And the globalists have a different outlook on how things should work. Nations,
Yeah.
it's a totally different thing. So we do not want war. We stand for peace. That's the bottom line.
Right.
There are people within our government. I'm not naive to the fact that both sides
Sure.
of the aisle in our government needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah.
It just needs a
we'll
complete
get there.
overhaul.
We'll
But
get there.
anyways, however, there are people on both sides of the aisle that absolutely they profit a great deal from war.
Sure.
And I like that Trump is shutting down war,
Yeah.
stopping that. Like, look, there are people dying over there. As a believer, young men are going out every day, both sides, young men and
It's
women.
like they're getting drug
They're
out.
getting,
Yeah.
it's awful.
Yeah.
And it just needs to stop. And I love that it's stopping. At least there's this step. And I think it's,
Okay.
I also think, like our president has to walk this tightrope. It's like this tightrope is Ukraine is trying to do, like Pastor Marcus said, they're trying to get in to the United Nations.
Yeah.
Well, we're against the United Nation type.
I think we just dropped
stuff.
out.
Like these guys are globalist. That's not us.
Right. Right.
And
Is that right? Somebody fact checked me on that. Wasn't there just a move to not repeal ourselves, but to pull ourselves out of the United Nations?
yeah. Anyways,
Obviously, allies are still maintaining, but
so my thoughts are, regardless
yeah,
of who's in office, in any of it, we don't want people going to war, and we don't want the war machine. That's been the issue here in America. That's
Yeah.
been the issue, I would say, even more it's on both sides of the aisle, but the Republicans
I agree.
oftentimes
No,
are
I agree.
generating this war machine, which
Yeah.
people don't talk about, and we probably shouldn't because people will throw stuff at me. However,
Well, they can't throw it through the monitor, so I mean,
just
might as
saying,
well. It's a valid point. It really is.
the things with Zelensky or this,
Yeah.
he needed to be put in check.
Sure.
He has no. It's just crazy what they did, just throwing money at him, and essentially, the bottom line is, what are they doing?
Yeah.
He's just trying to continue to fight, right? It's like, no,
Well-
we're going to put an end to that. We're stopping the
Sure.
finances, and we're going to bring U.S. people on deck, which means you're not touching that.
Sure. So one of the things within that to add on is the supply of the U.S. weapons we were selling to them, all having
We supply weapons to so many nations.
But we're just talking Ukraine.
Just Ukraine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they've taken them, and I'm sure this is probably majority of the countries we do supply to. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but they took them and sold them for pennies on the dollar back to like Mexico, other areas of conflict that seem to be generally used against us actually. So they took our weaponry that
Yeah.
we supplied them to fight and then sold it. I mean, what?
Well, the thing that many people don't consider when you talk about war
Yeah.
is it takes a supply.
Oh yeah.
So without
for
the
sure.
finances to do these things, whatever supplies that they're getting, if they didn't have the technology
Sure.
or the equipment that they're receiving,
Sure.
when you give somebody something, it's up to them to do what they want. Now, that's why I'm not a fan of giving people military equipment. I'm not a fan
Yeah.
of just giving it to them, because when you give somebody, it's theirs to do what they want
They can
with.
do whatever they would
If
like.
you
Yeah.
say you can use this stuff,
Yeah.
but
it needs to be returned.
it needs to be returned, right? Like it doesn't go.
Sure.
So there's ways that you could put things in place to
Accountability
help
on that.
your allies, but keep things accountable. And
Yeah, that's well said.
just
Because that's
yeah.
kind of a weird one. Because obviously, like you led off with just initially, it was like we've done that. We've given to many people.
We constantly do.
Yeah.
First off, like a lot of our manufacturing and things here, like we lived in Southern California, obviously right before you were born, and
Yeah.
but there's major corporations, McDonnell Douglas and all of these big Boeing and
Yeah, Lockheed
and
Martin.
Lockheed
and all
Martin,
That, yeah.
all these major suppliers, business corporations,
Sure,
huge,
sure.
and their industry is, it's war.
Yeah.
However you want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
So we're a major supplier in those things,
Yeah.
and it's just if we didn't do it, somebody else is going to do it. You're better to have, it's my opinion that it's better to be in front of things and to stick,
Sure.
you know, at the forefront and stay at the head of technology, because I ultimately believe when we're talking natural things
Yep.
that the best defense is an extremely powerful offense.
No, I
Like
agree.
if you touch this, man, it's going to be a problem. Miss Sharon, you said, what are your thoughts on the
Wait.
Doge
Don't mess with
discoveries?
that.
Okay,
1 second.
we'll probably come to that. It sounds like,
Yeah.
but
We'll
if
swing.
not, I will answer that.
We'll swing back around that when we get on our end a little bit here.
All right. So Ukraine,
yeah.
I'm so glad that it's stopping.
Yeah.
Two,
That was like
I'm in
today.
total agreement that we should go in there and put, corporations in there and develop things. I think the same thing in other areas, anywhere that we can do that. It's very similar to what you see England do in, the early years when they would go in, they would help to establish places
Yeah.
and provide protection.
Yeah, sure.
Because ultimately, Ukraine wouldn't be there if it
Sure.
didn't have the backing of other
It would be
nations.
Russia. It'd just
would
be an
be Russia.
extension of Russia. Yeah.
Exactly. So I do think that it's great that we're stopping that, and we're stopping and putting an end to the war with business sense and common sense versus killing people.
Sure.
So
I
that's
agree.
summary.
Yep. Let me see. Make sure I got everything done.
What do you
on
guys
that.
think? I think we're.
I think most people agree on that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next
it seems
one?
like based
Fire
on
away.
feedback there. Let's see. Do I keep it at foreign? I think foreign at the moment, because once we come back to the U.S., it'll be pretty interesting. But let's talk about. There's been some recent things. Obviously, as Christians, we've seen in the news recently, the Christians being killed in Syria and the Christians being killed in the Congo. I mean, when we're talking about having ability to go into somewhere,
Yeah. So I have two thoughts on that. There's two things that I think when you hear me talk about prayer, I often think about this in prayer because, prayer is this communication line. And it's just maybe how my mind works. But when I think about anything, when you think about any interaction in these things, you need communication lines open.
Yeah.
And what you have started to see in modern times is that the intelligence community, the information highway, it's what provides protection and gives people the heads up of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when the intelligence community is functioning in a proper manner, where if everything is basically being there's oversight with every aspect of what's going on, and certain communities are not having unlimited ability to do things. Like the CIA doesn't get to just do whatever they want. They're not a separate entity. They don't run the government, like the NSA type stuff.
Yeah.
All of that. So if everything's in check, then you should be able to count on your intelligence community, to
Sure.
provide you with real information
Yeah.
and ways that you could help people around the world, be protected. So I think this thing in Syria, what's going on is there's been a warning for quite a while that there's going to be some problems if somebody doesn't do some things. And I think there could have been maybe a little bit more noise in the worldwide, like news outlet. There should have been more information about that.
Interesting.
Because it was talked about for months. They've known this was going to go on for, I'll say, at least 6 months.
Right.
And now you start to see this happening in Syria, like they're killing Christians, but everybody knew that was going to go on. That's my point. So if you have this intelligence community working, then the information they provide should be trustworthy, that everyone could, depend on, that it was to the best of their ability the truth, in these situations. obviously national security things, and I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about these are things that everybody knows they should know
Sure.
and be able to either one, provide information to the people that are there.
Like this is coming.
This is coming.
Yeah.
And you make a decision. If you stay, you could face
These
this
are your
or not.
repercussions,
But
which I've heard missionaries doing before.
and that would
Yep.
be totally one thing. The other side to what you're talking about is where they're killing Christians. It's like, are they killing missionaries or just people that are Syrians, right? Like so. And
Taking
to
their
me,
own people.
that's a whole different thing. Again, it's awful either way. But
Right.
like as far as a missionary, you made the choice
Right.
to go there knowing that they are doing that.
Yeah.
And so you just
Those
believe in the God's-
consequences are already thought through,
you have to already be
processed, made the
dead to
decision.
go.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
like you should
if
never
you're going to
even
go into
have
that zone, it's
Right.
like you
Like-
have an expectation of, man, I could actually die at any time.
Yeah,
And I'm okay with that.
And
I
you
made the
better
decision.
have it by the Holy Ghost that
Right.
you're supposed to be there.
Yeah. Sure.
Without the Holy Ghost, you shouldn't be there. However, we're talking about. It looked to me like on the outlets that I've been able to see, if you look,
Yeah.
Turning Point, different places that you can look and get your information. That's
Which is really blown up. Yeah.
different stuff. It looked to me like they were just
I'm serious.
citizens from there
Yeah.
that had given their life to the Lord and were being martyred. And it's a tragedy, but oh, what a place for them, and a boldness to give their life and to keep their faith in Jesus. And it's just a whisper here.
Sure.
So for them, I mean, do I like it? Absolutely not.
No,
But I'm
sure.
very proud's not the word, but I'm stoked that people like that are in
Scripture
the
says
same
they
family
have
as us, that they're bold enough to serve the Lord in a place where they're doing that, and they don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
So it's awful. It's
That's
awful.
true. That's true.
You know,
In the Congo as well, yeah.
yeah, those things, wicked, just wicked.
Yeah. It's
But
wild because I've
it talks
heard
about
major impacts recently within the Congo. Then to see these headlines, like, wow.
I think this has been going on for many, many, many hundreds of years in both of those locations.
Yeah.
I think this is not new. I think what it is people that give their life to the Lord in places like that, not to mention communist China, the other places.
Sure.
I mean, like 85% of people that are born again in China have spent more than 3 years in prison for it.
Yeah.
Like,
just from the people I've heard on that note, they don't even consider you for ministry unless you have 2 years under your belt in prison, because you must not be bold enough.
Right, because you're not telling people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's wild.
Anyways, on the natural side of things,
Yeah.
I think
That's
there
rough.
should have been a whole bunch of information, a whole bunch more. There should be a whole lot more outrage with the outright disgusting behavior of the people that are doing that.
Yeah.
That community, Hezbollah, Hamas, all of these people that are there, the Palestinian. I mean, it's been going on forever.
Which you could just go into that, because obviously there's that kid Khalil. Did you see that? Where Khalil was a major. He just got deported, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, why are people not outraged with the absolute wickedness, just murdering people all over, their own people? I mean, really, it's like it's genocide, it's disgusting, it's nasty stuff, and it's all based on, it's been going on for years. Actually, when we see Abraham, we should go ask him, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Right?
Excuse me, sir. You
Yeah.
go ahead and keep that arm of
Just
the
saying.
flesh to yourself. Yeah. No,
Jeez.
that's good. Let me
So
just check.
I
here.
hate that.
Gotcha. I did mention the student that was actually going to one of the schools, the universities that was up here, and he actually was a part of raising a tent city on the university campus. So I'm talking about an American campus. Like, this is in the U.S.
Yeah.
Where this guy came here. He's I think it's Hamas.
Yeah.
Hezbollah, I guess, would be close to the same, and then Palestine, right? The Palestinian, and their whole drive. What he did was he took over a campus, and so I want to know your thoughts on
Yeah.
repercussions. And then and then he had a group of students that he organized and took over a facility of the university, and
Yeah.
then was completely anti, would
So I
go
think
in
I'll
and
probably,
disrupt the Jewish class.
I think I probably have a different outlook on this.
Okay.
So if we're going to
Ooh,
talk
that's
about
interesting.
him,
Yeah.
this guy,
Yeah.
then you have to go. In my opinion, you have to first look: is he here legally?
Okay.
If he's here legally,
Yeah.
then he
Okay.
falls
Yeah, there it is.
under the guidelines
Uh-huh.
of what's going on here. So anybody that's not here legally, they
Yeah.
have no rights, and they should not, like, it's totally, if you're an illegal
We'll get
alien,
into that later
then,
too, by the way.
but I'm just saying,
Okay.
it's even in this case. So like this guy is here, if he's on a student visa or whatever,
Yeah.
then in America you have the right to say, you have freedom of speech, you have freedom of religion.
Right.
So you have the freedom to do all these things. I am not like saying, now I don't know this particular case. Do I like what the guy's saying? No. I don't. If he's out there pro-Palestine, anti-Semitic, do I like that? No. But I have news for you. In America, we have freedom of speech.
Right.
And we have a constitution that protects the right for people to express their opinion. You can come and have a public, do things. So do I like the fact that the guy is out there doing that? Personally, no, I do not. Do I agree with it? No. But
It says he was a legal resident.
he was a legal resident?
Legal.
Illegal.
No, legal.
Yeah,
He's
see,
a legal
so
resident.
if he's a legal resident, then I am not at all interested in sending him, deporting him anywhere. He's a legal resident.
Sure.
Now, if you're a legal resident and you're participating in terrorist activities, then there's a place that we go to down in Cuba that houses those people since the Patriot Act at 9/11.
Yeah.
So people that participate with terrorist organizations, they get to find themselves in a different situation. I don't have the particulars about this guy, but if he's a legal person and he's a part of Hamas or Hezbollah or any terrorist organization, then they should immediately incarcerate him indefinitely in Guantanamo Bay and keep him there until
Sure.
forever, until the consequences of that stuff. Yeah, exactly. If until the consequences of the activities that people do with these organizations
Yeah.
get high enough, it's different. But I would probably stir up people with this. I don't think you have any right to tell people,
So we have a freedom
of
of
speech.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech,
Yeah.
freedom to assemble, freedom, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Freedom of religion.
Which is the same. That's the same thing that gives us the ability.
That's right. So you can't
Yeah.
be for
And
freedom of speech and then say, hey, that guy can't have freedom of speech.
Right.
No,
That would
everybody
be
has freedom of speech.
hypocritical.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
That's a tough thing to hear.
he had a green card. That's different.
Said he.
If
Okay.
I would,
I saw
a green
it from the
card.
New York Times where
A green card is not, you're not a citizen yet, or any other card that you get there, you're not a citizen of the
okay.
United States. So you do fall under different guidelines and you could be deported.
She said
with that.
former student at Cambridge and
So, am I excited about what's been going on? I have thoughts about this. There were places, Evergreen State College right next to us here.
yeah,
Berkeley in California.
Berkeley, yeah.
Right? All of these places. You go down to the University of Oregon. Super. They're just like this hotbed of controversy and consistency, putting out anti-American
Right,
things.
right.
And so, I don't know. I think you have to start trying to figure out what is the purpose of these. Why are you against our country? And if you don't like our country,
Yeah.
why are you here?
Well,
Why do you want to be here? Like,
Sure.
you know,
But So here's some questions, and it's just off the cuff on this one, but you've seen Trump's reaction to Maryland recently, the government of, I'm sorry, the state of Maryland, their governor, just the same way as you've seen his reaction to these public universities where he's threatened to cut funding. What do you think about
yes.
that?
Oh,
So
I'm
like
a big
so like
supporter.
these public universities that are allowing these things that are anti-American to take place, even though there is freedom of speech. What's your thoughts on that? Because it's like,
Well, I think you have to look at it from a perspective of
because
education.
let me add something in there. Let me add something. Sorry, let me add something. Because there's a lot of Christian universities that are private that don't take federal funding,
And that's my whole
and they
point.
can say what they would like, right?
Yeah.
And so why is this allowed to happen on a public university where it's receiving federal funding? Go start your own thing. Like I want to know your thoughts on that. Like
So
because
I don't think that people. You have different issues that we're talking about. If you talk about allowing people that are U.S. citizens to protest Israel or protest, Mexico or
Yeah.
protest wherever,
Yeah,
then
you can protest
you
the
can do that
president.
anything. I mean, anybody can do that, and
Sure.
that's part of what America is made of.
Right.
That's the whole deal. But if you start talking about breaking laws,
Yeah.
right, or breaking things,
Yeah.
then that's a different. If you like right now, like it or lump it, Trump said that there are two genders. Like, who would even think that there would ever be something different? Anyways,
Right.
but so there's the transgender, and those things are technically the executive orders have been placed.
It's male and female on a birth certificate.
And so federal dollars, if they won't stop putting multi-gender, transgender things into place in these colleges, then he has the right to pull the funding. And I think it's great.
didn't know. Yeah.
So the biggest way you affect people is you hit them where it hurts in their
Financially, usually.
checkbook, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you see, like many places that are standing out there and going for it. If they don't receive federal dollars, that's
Like privately funded.
private funding is totally different.
Right.
You fall under different things. But if you're a public school that's taking my tax dollars and doing that, then you need to follow what's going on in there, at the moment.
Sure.
And that's why it's so important that we stand up for righteousness and don't allow this type of stuff that you see with the whole agenda, the LGBTQ and, transgender and all that stuff. It's such a marginal thing, and it could have been handled so easily. Like, no one's ever told anybody here, like I'm not telling people they can't be gay.
Right.
I'm not running around telling them you can't do that. Do I think it's right? No. Do I think it's absolutely immoral and wicked? Yeah, I do. But do people have the ability in America to do things that I think are wicked and immoral? Yeah, they do. So
I find it funny those things don't work together. By the way.
No, the reason that they're doing it is because they want the financial ability,
correct.
and they want to push that to make it more, to feel better in their own mind, to feel, like, oh,
Sure.
it's acceptable. You're never going to make it acceptable.
Sure.
Their heart, they know. So, anyways.
Since we're on that line already, and I already mentioned
let's
it.
finish that.
Oh, what's that? Which one?
So it says that the college lost all federal funds as
Columbia.
a result of not protecting the Jewish students.
Okay.
I am a huge fan of making these colleges that are there, they get more and more and more funding. They are just hotbeds of in my opinion, they're anti-God, most of them, which I'm not
It's crazy
a fan
because
of.
a lot of them started as
Some, but
Columbia,
I mean, these state colleges,
Harvard, Yale.
and so I'm not a fan of them
Right.
receiving federal money anyways.
Right.
And as much as they are,
I don't even think those ones are accredited. Are they? It's just reputable schools to be in. It's like Cambridge, right?
Ivy League
Yeah.
schools, they don't technically,
They just
the
have
reason they don't need accreditation
Yeah.
is because the body of work and the people that
the
graduate
validation.
they
Yeah.
speak for themselves.
Right. Correct.
Like, if
Right.
it's a small portion of the
Populous. Yeah.
populace that are able to graduate from those schools, and for a good reason.
Accreditation
It's
not
tough.
needed.
MTI. There's other ones too.
MIT. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, I'm not a fan of supporting state schools with federal dollars.
Okay. Okay. Lee, you finished on that one?
Yeah.
All right. Heading into the second one. How about states? When a governor is, say, trying to compete to have women or men participating in female sports as a state executive thing.
So,
especially with how our nation breaks down.
So you have the way you handle this is obviously there's federal laws that you live under today, and
Right.
there's state laws.
Right.
And every state has the right to do certain things. Like the state, if you look at the state constitution in Wyoming, or the state constitution in Texas, those constitutions are set up for that state and the
Yeah.
jurisdiction that they're in, and it empowers the people. Technically, if you look, a county sheriff is the most powerful person in the county, and he has power, even authority over the state. And so each person, and that's the reason that you see that is in a constitutional republic, it's of the people, by the people, for the people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
I think that's
supposed
an
to
important
be
note. Yeah.
you're supposed to be guarded and have the things that are in place in your local community, more of a hands-on thing. And obviously the further displaced people get from things change. I mean, where we live here in Rochester is substantially different than downtown Seattle.
True.
So, the King County
another
Sheriff
nation.
should have a better feel of what's going on in his community
Correct.
than,
Yeah.
what's going on here. But my point to all this
Lewis County,
is,
Thurston County.
is that as you look at the government, instead of looking from, top down, you look from bottom up.
Interesting.
And our nation was built on this, that the bottom, dictates to the top. And we need to bring that back into play. Now, when you talk about states, that changes things drastically, because then technically everywhere a person lives, you're under the law per se of the governor of that state.
Sure.
He's the one ruling it, and then
Sure.
county by county, so you need to pay attention to where you live locally. Like if you lived in a very, like during COVID, if you lived in King County, right, it was a problem. Mask up, stay safe, don't go to church, whatever. Well, out in the country, people are like, we're not doing that. That's ungodly, and we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's
South
different.
Dakota was different altogether.
Okay,
They
but
didn't
here's
even
the
hear
thing.
about COVID.
So these states, the state should have authority
Yeah.
over the feds. The feds are out here. So there's federal laws that oversee.
Sure.
Then there's state laws.
Okay.
And in a state, if the state decides that they're going to do this thing with the transgender, then technically he has the right to do it all the way up until the point that our president said, no, it's illegal, right? Federally.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the feds can stop any funding, zero money to the state. So it could be
Which must be a large portion.
which is a huge, huge deal.
Interesting.
Because if the state of Washington was cut off from all federal funding, it would cease to be working the way it does currently, right? Like big changes. And it's interesting.
That's interesting because I didn't know that. I mean,
So the way you
yeah.
like manage the governors as the president just my opinion here, is that the only thing you have is you cut off their checkbook.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like they should do the right thing and the people should be speaking, here in Washington. But in Washington, people vote for that. King County votes,
It's a large
super
portion.
liberal,
Yep.
all of that stuff. They want it there.
It's like 1.8 million people.
And so I don't want to live there, because I don't want my daughter, having to take showers with dudes in transgender sports. I think that's like weird. I don't know like where you draw the line with that, but I draw it there. Yeah. Anyways, so but you can do
probably
that.
Draw it a little before
you
that.
can do that
get
there.
The bathrooms.
Okay, that's the deal. The governor can do that, but my hope is that if they push for that, that our president stops every single penny from coming to this state.
Sure.
I hope he puts it just like, nope, zero. Road maintenance, nope. Any funding, zero.
Right.
No help, you get nothing. You either do what you're supposed to do with these things, or that's it. You get no money.
Okay.
And if the people don't like what happens in their state, then what you do is, and that's why you see people moving to other places.
Yeah.
So these are natural things that you do. Right. We're godly people. We're called to be here. So, it's like, I'm not saying other people aren't godly, but I'm saying, we know where we're supposed to be.
Sure.
Right now, we're supposed to be right here.
Sure.
And so,
I will say,
we have to push back. You have to have the front line pushing back.
You have always said and been very vocal about the fact of not giving up ground, staying and
if you give up ground, if someone can push you off a spot, where do you stop? Wherever they stop pushing. Right. Because you try to get your footing back once somebody gets you moving.
It's tough.
It's really tough.
It's extremely tough.
No, you get yourself, you plant yourself, and you start pushing forward and push back until they move. So, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We covered a lot
of
topics.
State,
Is that,
I don't think, I think first off, it matters even more the county that you live in. And so, like, when we have county sheriffs, the elections, those matter. When I go see Sheriff Sanders here in Thurston County, I went to, and there's a reason that I want to do that. He's the most powerful guy in this county. Yeah. He can literally tell the National Guard, the state police, everybody, get out. Yeah. And they can cut off the funding to the county, but they can't do anything about that. They can't arrest him over that authority. As long as he's not doing things that are illegal. Right. Like, no, he has the right to do that. He's an elected official of the people in that county, and that's how it works. So that's how you handle those things. Wow. Next question.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I'm gonna keep it foreign real quick. This is the last foreign question.
Foreign?
Yep, foreign. Israel and Palestine.
Whoa, that is a firecracker right there. Yeah.
We're already way in.
I actually really liked the idea of someone going into Palestine and making it a resort. I think it's absolutely a fabulous idea. Yeah. I think it would be great if Israel would do it, but I think that would cause World War III. I don't think Israel wants to do that, and I think the world would go bananas over Israel getting their own land back. It's their own land in the Bible.
You better say that. You better say it.
I'm just saying that's Israel's land, right? It's theirs. Yeah. Read the Bible. Yeah. And you can look at any map.
Which, by the way,
Genesis
the Palestinian religion, Muslims also have the same map that we have.
They know. They know, and that's why there's
You can ask them. They know.
So we're dealing with Bible prophecy at that point.
Yeah.
But
by the way,
all
if
I'm telling you,
any seed that's sown here today, we'll be sending you a copy of the last two kingdoms.
Yes.
Any seed of any amount that comes into this stream today, we'll send you a copy of the last two kingdoms.
Nice. That's an awesome one. So I love that. That's awesome.
Which is end time prophecy from Dr. Mark Spitsbergen.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. It makes you think. I like that.
Sure does.
A lot. But Palestine, first off, it's already, if you just take a look at the place, it's annihilated. Yeah. It's gone.
That's true.
And
totally.
What are they fighting over? Just, it's just demolished. So somebody should go in there and build a resort. I love the idea. And
try to bring something
and
into
do that. Now, what you can't do, though, is put a resort town in the middle of a terrorist
War
war zone, because you can see those people are absolutely wackos.
Yeah.
They're nuts, and they're wicked, and they hate, they hate Western culture.
Right.
They don't like,
We can't
Israel. They
we,
don't
we
like.
can't safely bring any resortees there.
So what you do,
Yeah.
and here's the issue that I see from that, is that the only way you do that is to have it a military installation,
Oh wow.
and you start putting, a military base there, and you defend that with the Iron Dome, just like Israel, and you connect it to the allies, much like you would do in Ukraine, and say, you start pushing back. And those guys are not going to like that. Syria, Jordan, Egypt, all of those, the Muslim countries are not going to be happy that we would have the ability to stop their nonsense.
Right.
And essentially, that's what I think it would take to make it happen. Yeah.
Gaza will be Israel.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we
Gaza
just saw
will
it.
be.
It just reloaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good.
That's as far as foreign things or international things that I saw on the list. If there was anything you wanted to talk about or address.
I do want to talk about it. When you start to bring up Israel, I think it's an interesting topic because there's so many things. Like, I'm so glad. Obviously, when you read the Bible, it says there's going to be a new Jerusalem.
Right.
And so we're going to be in a heavenly Jerusalem.
Sure.
Right? And Israel, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah.
He was born in a Jewish family. And so, the heritage and Christianity and all of that. Man, we pray for the people. We pray for the peace of Jerusalem. The Bible says to do that. And we continue to lift up Israel and stand with them. And I'm glad we're on their side, like as a nation, that we defend Israel from these other places. We're supposed to do that. However, when you listen to some Christians talk about what's going on in Israel, they act as if everything that Israel does is godly. And Israel currently is a secular state.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So it's a secular state. So when we're praying for Israel and standing for Israel, you still have to keep in mind that they are not, there's still a lot of things.
They're not acting out of a relationship with the Lord as a nation.
Some of it, it's very weird, but it's very strange to look at. I'm just saying
that's a challenging one.
A blind, I stand with Israel is sometimes.
Do you have any examples on that, or just? Because I understand the principle that you're saying, right? Because the U.S. is amazing, but we've made mistakes as a nation where we've done terrible things, and that should not be supported. Nobody should stand with us.
I can tell you right now, I love our country. I love America.
Yeah.
I loved America when Joe Biden was president.
True.
I thought he was terrible. I didn't like anything that he did. First off, he wasn't even mentally or physically.
Never saw the guy.
They all hid that. I didn't think that was right. And so, was I a big supporter of Joe Biden?
Nope.
No, but I'm a huge supporter of America and the office, right? So those things, like, am I a huge supporter of all the things that Israel does? Like, no, I'm not a huge fan of some of the things they do. For example, they don't stop terrorism.
Yeah.
They negotiate all the time, and they're constantly wishy-washy. And at some point, if you tell people, hey, we're going to take you out, then what you waiting on? And you either can do it or you can't do it. And I think for me, I've watched Israel interact with these terrorist groups.
Yeah.
And it's not a position of strength.
Because Hamas isn't the first one.
No. And so, as a government, if I was in office, if I was a president, I would be telling them, hey, quit crying wolf.
Get to
Either
business.
get to business
Sure.
and get it taken care of
Sure.
so that we can support you, or quit saying that you're going to do that and just let them come rape and murder your people all the time. Just let them do it. You know,
Right.
I mean, if you're for it, then what you waiting on? I don't understand it. So
And
that's just my opinion.
It's intense to think about, but that is exactly what takes place.
It's terrible stuff that
it's
they
awful.
allow. And then they say, that we have hostages. Like, why is there even anybody there to talk to? Why are they even there? They have the military capability and, like, get it done.
Intelligence capabilities,
Right.
Defense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways.
So that's just, okay, as far as foreign, then that was everything you had to say as far as foreign policy or things we're doing.
Well, fire away.
Well,
I don't know what you're asking
no,
me.
that was what I had.
Sure.
But I mean, as far as outside the U.S.,
Oh, yeah,
was there
okay.
any other bigger things that you've seen that maybe you want to discuss? If not, I can come back into the U.S.
I'm not a fan of making criminal organizations terror groups. Unless
which has been done, right?
unless they're terrorists. And so, I think you stop those things by
I think that's an interesting opinion. You gotta elaborate on that.
right. Well, now you're calling cartel members or drug dealers, they're in a terrorist organization or whatever. My opinion is on that. I think you got to be really careful with the terror organization statement
Name,
because of the Patriot Act and what it allows the military to do and take military action
To
against
whomever's on that list.
whoever's on the list.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
And so,
The Patriot
I
Act,
think that is a weird deal. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I don't think that that's right. I think you stop the border. I think you get the border and you make people come here legally and you vet the people that you allow in.
Yeah. So just
correctly.
Go ahead and talk about that because that's one of them.
And then you don't, if somebody commits a crime here, man, you're done. Like if you came here and you're done, it's bad problems. So you stop that by getting the border secure and making people come, correctly, legally.
Okay.
Do you know it's a felony to come into the U.S.? Do you know that it's a felony to come in here without?
I wouldn't have known that based on.
So it's like an actual crime.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's not like they're just.
It doesn't seem to be treated
swimming
that way.
the river.
Oh.
Or climbing a tree.
Sure.
Swinging over the.
Sure.
From Canada.
I guess that's why we have helicopters and stuff in military.
So it's a crime, and they do it for a reason, so that they can incarcerate them, and then fingerprint them, do a DNA thing, and then send them back to wherever they're from outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
With a do not enter list anymore, and now you have a track record of them. So it's a crime.
Okay.
Just like people that do that.
I knew it was a crime, but.
So the idea behind that, though, is not to keep people from coming into the U.S.
Okay.
I think we should I love it. Like, the whole U.S. was built on immigrants.
Right.
Like, so I'm totally into it.
Yeah.
Just do it the right way. Like, do it the right way. They have a process. You apply. What people don't like is it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Sure.
And so people don't like that. So they break the rules. Well, if I break the rules, I got to.
There's a
If I
punishment.
do the
There's a
crime, I
consequence.
I do the time.
Yeah.
Same thing for them. If you come in and you get
There's
in
gotta
here,
be a
then
consequence.
the consequence
Yeah,
is
okay.
if you get caught, you never come back. We do your DNA, and you do that. And I'm also not a fan of keeping kids that were born in the U.S. as U.S. citizens. If they weren't legal citizens, the parents aren't legal citizens, they're not either. Get out.
Right. Which was something that just was recently
Drop. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So as comparisons, like our open border or not open border policy, our immigration allowance was pretty high. I think it was amongst the top in the world for how many we would bring in controlled.
Look, I think that we have the technology today that we could do background and vet people so fast.
Sure.
You can tell exactly, where
Who's in
they're
front of
from,
you, yeah.
what's going on.
Right.
Are they connected to criminal organizations? There's so much background stuff that you could do. There's no reason that it would take,
Like
a long
it used
time.
to.
However,
Yeah.
why would we want to allow 50, 60, 100 million people into our country? Like, no, it's a privilege to be here.
Right.
No other country allows you just to go hang out and, hey, I'm going to
Well, I was going to say that. I was going to say
because
Europe actually was the one that had it open.
now they're trying to shut them down again.
No,
because
exactly.
They realize
the crime rate went through the roof to the
it's
populace.
not just crime. I mean, look at all of it. Like, you allow people just to come flooding in. They don't have.
They
don't
asylum.
understand. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all.
Okay.
Like,
Ooh,
I'm not a fan
interesting
at all.
broadcast.
I'm seriously a fan of Australia, and everybody that
Very
wants
British.
to go there should go to Australia.
Yeah, very,
Right?
very British
But
of you.
stay in Australia, and if they get to New Guinea and they eat you, it's just your problem. That's
Papua
how
New
it
Guinea's
works.
a weird place. There's still cannibals there, yeah.
So,
There's a lot of interesting things. Anyway, I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, that really knocked...
guys, what's going on with people here?
they're there. I think YouTube's a little slow sometimes in their...
All right.
But
We better go. We
It's
better keep
tracking
going, yeah.
accurately. Yeah.
All right.
I've got just a few more things here that I wanted to ask. In-house, obviously...
I didn't forget Sharon with the Doge question.
I got it right here. Yeah. One of the questions, I want to get that into the government side of things, but one of the next things would be along with border control, where we're talking about deportation. Okay, all these people are actually here now. Mm-hmm. Biden had an app that was created, CBP, where it was made for illegal immigrants to come into the U.S. and they were, I believe, being tracked. And they knew, they just allowed it to take place.
Yeah.
Where now Trump has taken that app, reworked it so that illegal immigrants can deport themselves. So I want to know your thoughts on this, because essentially it's like this: if they deport themselves, they get a chance in the future. If they don't deport themselves and ICE finds them, they never get a chance to come back. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are...
Which I think you've already kind of alluded.
My thoughts are that every illegal needs to go, and if they go in their own power, and check out at the border and say, I was here, but I'm leaving,
right,
and I won't come back until I can do it legal, then those people would have a chance to come back and do it legally. And I think that that's great. Got to remember, they were allowed in. They never were here legally. There's a misconception.
Yeah.
Like, well, these people have homes, they have cars, they have car payments, they have jobs, they have this. You know what? Listen, you never were here legally.
Right.
If I sell crack on the street corner and own a home,
sure,
right? I own a home, a car, and have friends and family and everything in a house. Yeah. And I get arrested, like many, many people in America, that happens to, that they choose to do something illegal, and then they have to go pay the crime. They do the time for the crime. Sure. So they lose all their stuff. So do I think it's a sad day that illegals may lose their job and their homes and all this stuff? Yes, I do think it's sad, but they never did it right. You must leave and come and try to do it right. And until you establish a lawful order, then it's never going to be right. Get them out, and if they don't leave, arrest them and never let them back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's pretty... kind of alluded to that several times. Let's see, billions of dollars to... Yeah, there's a lot of things in the news on that.
Turning the page.
Yeah.
Turning the page. For sure.
Let's see.
New leaf.
Let's see. Let's address tariffs real quick. Let's go through tariffs, if you're able to do it real quick, where Trump is actually talking about tariffs on Canada and Mexico, having just been in Indianapolis, where there's a lot of fleet things going on and a lot of big some military, but government budgets being looked forward to. What are your thoughts on these tariffs into Canada and Mexico? And some have even said it's an attack on drugs.
Look, I mean, if I just say to you, hey, I'll sell you popcorn for $1, but you can sell it to me for $1,000. Okay. And we'll call it even. What kind of small, infinite?
So elaborate on that, because because
Okay.
it went from
So
20. There's specific numbers I could
tariffs,
give you, but
I love what he's doing
yeah,
with this reciprocal
yeah,
tariffs. So in other words, if Canada doesn't want to charge us anything, then we won't charge them anything.
right,
And if Mexico doesn't want to charge us anything, we won't charge them anything.
right,
It's when you're trying to make money off of my back and then you are taking advantage of me and you won't do the same for me, then we're not friends anymore.
yeah. Well,
Right?
and what do you think about that in relation
Then
to
I think it's called
defense,
abuse.
as far as
And if you
protection?
abuse people,
Yeah.
then you get cut off.
Right.
And so I love that that's going on.
It's kind of the same principle, yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that some places, may think, well, we don't have the same economy. Well, you have the same ability. I don't think that there's one person
Yeah.
that I don't think of one Hispanic person that I know is not as intelligent, not as
Right.
hardworking,
No, yeah, for
not
sure.
with the same capabilities. Like,
Yeah.
so don't give me that, like these people can't come out of it. Every single person is capable
Right.
of developing. That's why God gave us the
Yeah.
ability to create wealth and to do
Correct,
things. And
yep.
so
So,
I think that tariffs are meant, it's simple. It's really easy that you're saying the reason that they were paying a smaller percentage is because they were the poor, the downtrodden.
Sure.
Like, no, climb out of it, man. Get out of it. We'll do our part.
Yeah.
Whatever you charge us, though,
Yeah.
we're going to charge you.
yeah.
And we'll make things happen for you. If you're working hard work, it pays
Sure.
off. So
That
I'm into it. I think that we
okay.
should have Canada as I think we should have 60 states. Honestly, I think there's 9 provinces in Canada, and I think there's 9 of them there, and I think we have 50 here.
Yep.
And so we should have 59. I think we should pick off Greenland as well, that's up there, and make that number 60.
I think are we
So I
talking
think Greenland, Danish, Greenland
Danish?
up there.
Yeah.
but-
Okay.
So I think we should have 60.
You do. Okay.
I think that should happen. I think that there might actually be some momentum that you could gain with people from Canada, because essentially they have the ability to do what they do because they don't have to pay for a military.
Right.
And we defend them. Much like Japan takes advantage
Sure.
of a World War II treaty
Yep.
and has a massive economy, but doesn't pay for any defense. We defend them. What kind of people take somebody over and then pay to defend them? Like,
I think some things are changing on that. I
Good.
did see, but
anyways,
no, that's it. That's a very valid point. Like,
so
why?
I do think that there are many Canadians that would love just to make it North America,
I will say, having been around Canadians recently, there
Yeah.
was a lot of excitement about being a part of the U.S.
I think that there is. I think
Yeah.
that when you start throwing things out like that, the
Yeah.
Gulf of America,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's like, oh my goodness, like this is wild.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are major benefits for everybody involved.
Sure.
The people that are there, instead of having an imaginary line,
Yeah.
in the between Canada and the U.S.
Yeah.
You make everybody the home team, and
Sure.
make it a place everybody wants to be, and give them the ability to enjoy the things
Sure.
we have, and or stop all defensive, stop all military
No
stuff.
protection. Yeah.
And the reason we protect them, the reason we do that
Border.
is because somebody else take them over. They'd give it to China
Yeah.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
I think that when it comes down to it, we have to really push on that. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. That was definitely one of the things.
And
I
I
was
like
looking at.
people from Canada,
Yeah. No, I do too.
Right?
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I just think that's the way it should be.
Let's see. Just to throw in there, I think you already really mentioned it, but as far as the fair trade with the tariffs and all that, India was tariffing us at 80%, and our response was, now we're going to hit you back.
Oh yeah, I think
And which
every
you agree
one of
with,
these
yeah.
people that have taken advantage of the U.S.,
Yeah.
like, it should be public knowledge. This should not be secret squirrel ninja stuff. This should be on the open forum
When
for
Trump says this
everybody
stuff,
to
people
see.
act like they never heard it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome, Tina. Niagara Falls, exactly. So I'm going to come back to that one too, Brandy.
Yep.
Like, obviously, the gun control issue is a big deal. We're huge Second Amendment, you know,
Yeah.
people.
I
Obviously, the reason people have guns in America, just so everybody's clear, it's not for hunting. It's not
right. We
for,
established it. Yeah.
any of those things. The
Right.
Second Amendment was established so that the people could keep away
A corrupt
a
government. Yeah.
corrupt government.
Yeah.
And that means maybe you need to have many bump stocks
True.
in order to do that, right?
True.
Like if a government was used against you, the reason people don't want to mess with America is because the guns. Why do you think
Right.
they constantly talk about it? Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah.
Cars don't kill people.
Right.
Drunk drivers, people
Come on.
use the car.
Right.
So don't blame the car. We still drive them. You know,
We
I have
haven't
a
resorted
pocket
back to
knife.
horse and buggy.
Exactly. So don't go after the guns. The
Yeah.
gun issue is, again, another wicked agenda.
Sure.
The Bible says to sell your plow and buy a sword.
Yeah.
It tells you that. That's what it says,
Cloak. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
it tells you. Get rid of that plow and get something to protect yourself with. And so in that case, it's a big deal.
Right.
And all over, wherever there's no guns in nations, they're easily
Come on, tell 'em about it now.
easily
Right.
pushed around.
Right.
And so that's what they want to do. That's the whole communist socialist agenda.
Yeah.
First thing you do, you get people excited about sports, paying attention to, whatever, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then
I
make
think
sure
that is the
they,
list. Yeah.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And then make sure
Yeah.
that they don't have guns, and then they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, I
So-
totally agree. It's
yeah,
on a good note on that, concerning guns and things happening since this administration's been in, they actually allowed that concealed carry permits are recognized interstate. So
What?
like I could take mine,
Yeah. Right.
down to California,
Right.
which is, and they have to recognize my
I'll just say
concealed.
this: I know that that's the way you're supposed to do it, but first off, the government is not supposed to know
Right.
what I have.
I understand. Yeah.
So I don't even believe
I know,
that
I
they
know.
should even have a permit. That I don't have to
To
register
identify
a
that I'm a
pistol.
CWP.
That you have it.
Yeah.
Like that's trash.
Right.
That's un-American
It is.
in itself.
It is.
And so I'm a open carry, do what you want. I would assume that every
I
person
don't
in
need to
America,
know what you got. Yeah.
every person in America, every female walking down the street, I hope they're packing a 9mm,
Trained.
a 40, a
Dangerous.
45. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope every single one of them is.
Yeah.
And the more of that, the better, in my opinion. Because if you're not out doing wicked stuff,
Brother Charlie. Amen.
you're right. If
Yeah.
you're not out,
Yeah.
doing stuff.
No, that's exactly what's done though. What's highlighted by the corruptness of it. They highlight the criminals who have the guns, so we have to get rid of all guns, right?
yeah,
Right?
right. Well, they didn't outlaw alcohol because people were drunk drivers.
Oh shoot. No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
They didn't get rid of
But
drugs. 'cause
that's
people
exactly
are,
the point, right?
They keep selling,
Yeah.
opiates across the counter at the hospital.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, that's right. Young adults do need to hit the shooting range. Cass, can you go back up? Brandy had one that he wanted to look at. What about Washington? Yeah, I haven't forgotten Doge.
No.
What about Washington State's gun legislation that just passed? Canadians probably want to be with U.S. because we have guns. I don't know. Did you address that?
yeah, I think we
Okay,
did that.
okay.
Yeah.
We can roll it.
Every house here has a gun
Roll it down,
issued by
yeah.
the state.
Um,
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah,
What's that? Oh, in Switzerland? Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
That's good, though.
I can tell that.
Except it's by the state. Let's talk chocolate. Tina, let
Oh,
me tell you, you have some awesome chocolate. You're top 3 in the world. Top 3. You're on the podium for chocolate in the world. I would say that for sure. And because it's from you, it makes it better. So it's very cool. Yeah, chocolate's good.
Wow,
I don't want to throw it out.
We got to move past that. I'm sorry.
yeah.
As far as current world events, we've already
Okay.
established your top 3 on previous broadcasts. Let's see. We talked about tariffs. The next thing that I can tell is a very hot topic is the Doge and Elon Musk's involvement in our government efficiency. What are your thoughts on that? Because there's been all sorts of media posting where look at this, $250 million spent on straws, or there's been condoms sent to, where
Yeah.
was it? Palestine, or was it? Or was it
So
Gaza?
I think anytime
For,
you have a massive budget,
okay,
if you have a large budget, there's always going to be things that you need to keep a handle on it. Like
sure,
we own a business. If we just spend, give forever, do whatever all the time and never look where it's going or evaluate where the
sure,
money's going. I mean, everybody on this broadcast, if you were just, spending, giving away stuff and you never knew how much money you had or what was going on,
yeah,
what would happen? You would have no idea where things are going. So I think if you take all of the nonsense out of it and just look at it like if this was your house and your money, what would you do? You kind of need to take a look and see where you're at.
sure,
So I like this with Doge. I think if you go in and start making assessments
yeah,
of where the money's going and track it rather than throwing mud everywhere, right? I think you just go in and get a report, get it out there, and, let the people know this is what we're doing and find out where all the money's going. It seems to be pretty simple to do that. Now, the issue that you run into
yeah,
is that people that are skimming off the top or, if they're working their own little side program with things, anytime there's an audit, we used to do this. We did audits in the mortuary business, right? Where you would go in, you'd buy a mortuary. So there was family mortuaries, right? And you'd have to go in and audit their books.
yeah.
And obviously, family members were there.
I'm sure things were interesting.
So what happened is everything that was going on, it was kind of the company was their own cookie jar,
Yeah,
and they would just take what they wanted
when they wanted, sure,
whenever they wanted. Well, if a company's buying it, they don't want people's hands in the cookie jar anymore.
sure,
So the people in the mortuary that we were buying out, they didn't like that because you were
Sure.
cutting off their play money,
yeah,
right? So that could be a problem sometimes. Well, look into a bigger picture like what's going on in the US
yeah.
and you have someone coming in and auditing the people that have had their hand on the cash
Let's take
for
it.
years.
Let's take it straight to the Department of Defense.
Department of Defense.
I believe that was a recent one where they're considering auditing, and there was a previous senator, I believe, or somebody who was sitting in who said the last time this was done, somebody had committed suicide with multiple shots, kind of thing. Anytime that an audit is done on these kinds of things.
Yeah, you're talking about
What's the Pentagon?
extreme finances.
Yeah.
And I think people are dealing with huge numbers, but ultimately the people
Yeah.
have the right to know where their tax dollars are being spent.
Sure.
And when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
the United States of America is collecting money. The government is supposed to be using the funds that we've provided them
Yeah.
on our behalf. And if it's not being done in a way
I see.
that is ethical, legal, right, all these things,
Sure.
then it has to be shut
Sure.
down. And of course there's stuff going on. You're talking, look, the Bible says that the love of money
Yeah.
is the root of all evil.
Right.
Not money's evil.
Right.
The love of money.
Right.
And greed is a powerful thing. More than the other things, greed, money causes wars and all these things because it's the love of money. And he with the money makes the rules.
Right.
If I have more gold than you do, then I can buy what you have. And then I can have whatever you have, right? So, I mean, that whole concept that we see. Doge, you asked about Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer that.
Okay.
There's people every single time in the government, just take you back and remind people of, 2019, there was this guy that said, follow the science. And then he came out and he told everybody to wear a mask, to stay safe, to take a jab, to do this, to do that.
Yep.
And come to find out, he was not an elected official. That guy was on the news every single day, and he basically was telling everybody they had to do something with their body, or they had to, face arrest, lose their job.
Extensive fines.
Many people in the military lost their job because they wouldn't do it. A restaurant right down the street, just to keep it real. Spiffy's was there for a long, long time on that exit where you turn to go up to the mountain. And guess what? He stood up and said, you can't do that in America. You can't tell us we can't have,
customers into our
and
business.
freedom to gather, because somebody has the flu. And guess what? He lost his business to that, and all the people that worked for him, because he was unwilling to do it. Well, that was done by somebody.
Fined him out. They just fined him, didn't they?
Yeah, they fined him $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, and
not cool.
So, but Fauci was not elected.
I'm glad you're
and
saying that.
Everybody was throwing his name out, and then all these other people that were not elected, and everybody ran like, wow, they did have great pastries, but so everybody was like, the vast majority of people that were supporters of Fauci are not supporters of Musk.
Right.
Like, why?
No, I'm glad you're saying that, because that's exactly what is out there today, is how can this man come in and audit us and examine our work?
Well, what kind of company has an audit done internally? Like, just let's be real.
Tell me about it. Maybe people don't understand business here, so that's good.
Like, if you want to find out if your accountant is stealing from you, you have another accounting firm come and audit your accountant.
Yeah, outside sort.
Right. And you make sure that they do it, and you give them access to your books so that they can check and make sure. It just happens that people that are handling the money a lot of times are the ones doing the embezzling. Yeah. Right?
Which is something we always heard about in Bible school.
That's how you do it. So guess what? Like, why would you care if he had access to, like, what was going on? By the way, there's how many IRS agents that are like...
I think there was 86,000.
Okay.
87.
Every single one of those people have access to your Social Security. Right. Like, how much vetting did it take place with that? Do they have a security clearance, like, to look at your taxes? Is there any chance that, like, every person that can log in to their company, laptop at the IRS, they can look up your Social Security number and date of birth, right? They have it. And guess what? You never checked on them, and no one complained about it. Why? No, because they actually don't care. What they don't like is the agenda. So what people are saying when they say they don't like Musk is they don't like somebody coming in and exposing.
It's the big A word.
Exposing what's going on.
Accountability.
And making people accountable for their actions. And you know what? I mean, that's how it's
as government officials, right? Like, these are government people. That are being audited,
and there's going to be private people that are in deep over their head. There's going to be all sorts of stuff, right? And
we're just currently seeing the outrage from
Social Security admin last year, data breach. That's a fact. It happened. Everybody got a whole bunch of information, and no one called out Biden and said, "Man, you can't have Fauci telling people to do this." No one said that.
True.
So I don't want to hear it. I just want the thing to be fixed. I will say this with Doge. I don't want to just hear it. I want it done.
Yeah.
I want to see it, and I want to see the results of it. I want to see if people were committing fraud, then they need to be removed. If people were committing criminal acts, then they need to pay the price. If people were robbing the American people, then they need to not be in office, and it needs to be exposed. And that's how you can't build
That's how we
on
operate
half
as a
truths.
nation.
You gotta go back to finding out what's
Yeah.
there.
No, that's
And
good.
I don't think it's just random what he's doing. I think
I don't think so either.
I think it's very pointed
Yeah.
at different things. And you know what? I'll say this. If it was legal for them to give money to certain places, if it was legal for them to do it, even if I didn't agree with it, and they did it legally, then that's the way it is. If they were doing things illegally and making things happen underhanded, like creating corporations and subcorporations and shell companies and corporations, that's called organized crime, not government. So, like,
I feel like we just crossed some lines there
I
that were
think
interesting.
I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's something that people should talk about. Like, if our government had people creating subcorporations and shell companies in order to fence money and siphon money from the U.S. taxpayer, then they're actually,
Yeah.
either, traitors to the country, or definitely,
Which will take me to my next point.
definitely
Yeah.
criminals.
Sure. Which takes me into my next point. We're talking
Okay.
about money. How about secrets? Because I know there was something that was publicly. Was it public? Before I get into that, up here, the military base.
Oh,
Is that public or not?
oh yeah, it's public.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there
yeah.
was some. You can just talk about it.
So recently at Fort Lewis McChord, 3 soldiers, U.S. Army soldiers, were arrested for espionage, and
Whoa.
evidently the payoff amount was $50,000 for 3 soldiers to sell secrets to China, and that's what's coming out in the news. Obviously, they're going to have some, their day in court. But it's interesting that gets brought out, and
What are your thoughts on like consequences for that kind of thing? Because I know
oh,
America's always as far as treason.
I'm a death penalty
Okay.
guy with any act of treason.
Oh.
That's my thought. Like, there's not just take them out and be done with it. Like, if it's proven that you were, against them, a spy,
Sure.
or that, it's game over. That I don't have any. I think that's
You've made your decision, kind of thing. Sure.
sure.
That's an intense one. Yeah.
And I think that would be the need to be known. Firing squad for sure, whatever. But wouldn't matter. Just, slow and painful, whatever.
Sure.
Like,
It's a that's
but these guys did it. They sold secrets, top secret information to China for $50,000 total. You can't even buy
What?
a new car.
yeah.
3 guys
Yeah.
became, are going to be
Traitors
convicted
to a
of
nation.
traitors to their nation.
Smearing their names.
Right.
Forever.
For like,
Yeah. For 50 G's.
17.5 a piece. Wow.
That is crazy. No,
so
it's
total.
No, it's crazy.
So like 17. Come on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right?
Not that
like,
there's a better value if there was more value. It's just
no,
the
but
point.
it just
Like
shows
that's
you,
crazy.
like, are you kidding? And so,
Right.
obviously these guys have hooks in how they get to people. The internet and the information age is there, and you're interacting with people while you're playing Pai Gow poker at the casino. That you could be, you know what I'm saying? There's like all these different ways that they're interacting, and so obviously there's people that are connected to China that are here,
Sure.
and they're
Oh, sure.
stealing technology and stealing things and doing things. And no, they split the 50 grand.
Yeah, it wasn't each.
But so there has to be like a stop to that stuff.
Sure.
I'm not into sharing secrets.
Right.
Top secret stuff is top secret for a reason.
I guess I should ask: is that something that's been weak as of late until this current administration, or?
I think this is a consistent thing that's been going on for many years that doesn't get talked about very much. But there's so much that's been stolen from the U.S. that it's unbelievable, and people allow it, and we shouldn't allow it.
Gotcha. No. So I mean, we're obviously going a long time here. I just got one more thing that we wanted to talk about as far as the U.S. U.S. things that are happening. We've actually mentioned it a little bit before, but could you talk about the homeschool credit that Trump brought out for
Oh yeah. So
parents
it's been out.
who are sick of public school but want to
Well,
need funding for
I mean,
these
I think that
things?
he's doing two things that I really like. He's got somebody, the Secretary of Education or whatever,
Yeah,
the U.S.
it's McMahon. It's
Yeah,
McMahon's
yeah,
wife. I listened to her
I know.
talk. She's sharp.
Yeah.
I was like,
So,
whoa, WWE coming in.
yeah.
Come on, man.
But for schools, like public schooling, there could be so much done in public schooling.
Yeah.
There's a testimony from Marcus that I don't want to share online tonight, but such a huge win, and I'm super proud
cool.
of those guys, all of them standing up for righteousness. We'll probably share it Sunday. But anyways, the public schools could be such a huge benefit.
Yeah.
And I think if people, if there could be some reform done in our education system and incentivize people to teach and keep agendas out, like, just really focus their education based on,
Performance.
academics,
Yeah.
and really develop kids and really begin to maximize the potential of our kids. They're our greatest asset, our people, because the greatest, everybody, it's coming. It's like, man, there's so much. So public schools,
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm out on the way it is right now because it's been made this machine against parents and against family values
Sure.
and against, godly principles and all this stuff. And they're being allowed to do ridiculous stuff at schools, and teachers should not be doing that. And that's just how it is. Public schools.
Yeah. Can I add in on that?
Yeah.
That there was a stat Vivek Ramaswamy said that we were 5 years behind. The average student here in the U.S. in public schools, 5 years behind.
Yeah.
Singapore.
Look,
Track class for class. I mean, what's your thoughts with that?
I don't think it's a surprise for people that kind of know.
Sure.
Is that it's broken. Our U.S. school system is broken. And it's not that the Americans are not smart or sharp.
Sure.
It's that our education system has been
Compromised.
dumbed down and compromised to make everyone feel equal. You're not equal. Some people are better at math. Some are better at English.
For sure.
Some can sing. Some cannot sing. Right? Like there's all these different things that God gifted each student, but they're not equal. And the reason that I wasn't on, the physics bowl or the science bowl in high school is because I chose not to. Right? There's people that were better, and like I think we need to get back to reality that our education system, if we maximize every child's potential and care about what they get, then it's could be fixed. Public schools. To go on with homeschools, that you should always have the right to do that. And there's so many different ways. The public school was set up to help people, so when they, didn't have the ability to teach their kids at home because of whatever, they're farming or whatever, and didn't have the ability to do it, they had a group where they could come together and their kids could, combine and learn. So now it's turned into basically the school raises kids. And that's not what it was meant to be. The school is raising the kids. The school does sports after school, so the kids are gone,
8 or 9
longer.
hours a
Now
day
they have
with the
breakfast.
schools.
They have preschool, breakfast before preschool. So longer and longer and longer. They keep getting people, and the whole goal is to keep them away from their family.
Interesting.
I'm for families. Yeah. So homeschools, I think the credit that's there, it's been there for a while, but it's $10,000 per family if you homeschool your children, right? So there's a tax break.
Does an academy fall under that?
Yeah, and we'll have a homeschool.
Oh, cool.
That's what we'll be. And so that the people that are a part of that they're going to receive a tax credit as well.
That's awesome.
That will help offset their tuition.
That's awesome.
Anyways, okay. Questions, real quick.
Yeah, that's all I had. I mean, I could always ask more out of
Anybody?
that, but that was good.
Did we cover all of them?
What's I scratched a couple off. What's your ideas on performance-based funding in the public system? Do you think that would help?
Yes.
Performance-based funding.
Yes. Absolutely. I think you stop allowing small school America to be separate schools.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
you
Okay.
start creating more opportunities instead of one. I think you start maximizing what people talk about as, trade school.
Sure.
I think you start turning in, like in a community the size of Olympia, I think you could, by the time they got in through 8th grade, they should have all of their math, science, history, English, like
Sure.
ability to write,
Sure.
form a sentence, punctuation,
Yeah.
all of that should be handled by 8th grade. I think that every math skill that is necessary for a person to like fill out a checkbook, pay a bill, count change back to someone, money back, that should all be done by 8th grade. After 8th grade, that every student should be starting to make decisions with like a grace period, maybe a 2-year grace period on it. But every student from 8th grade on should be going into a specialty of their choice. And like within the Olympia School District, you have Capitol, Tumwater, Ole, Black Hills,
North Thurston,
right? North Thurston, all these different places, River Ridge,
Timberline.
Right, Timberline. So you got 6 or 7 places that you could have. People could already receive their RN. They could already be, fire training,
that's
EMTs,
interesting.
paramedics.
Yeah.
They could be, doing things. You could have other places that could do construction. Other places could do
Sure.
welding and all the different things. So I am a big
House building.
big
Construction. Yeah.
supporter of anything that would start maximizing kids' ability to do things they love, to not be pressured. I'm not saying go to work. I'm saying to figure out, do you like computers? Do you want to get into computer
Coding and
programming,
stuff, sure.
coding? Do you enjoy tech?
Sure.
Is that something you could see yourself doing? I thought I did, but now I changed my mind. No problem. You already have all the stuff necessary for you to function in society.
Right. Oh,
so
that's
you want to
good.
make an
Yeah.
adjustment. So I think you give them a couple years to make sure that they like that, and then you could specialize so that by the time they got ready for college, they were like, yeah, ready to roll. And I think
Or
we do
roll
a
into
disservice
Yeah.
to people, because I think we slow play high school,
Sure.
and it's really to get people
Sure.
time to develop, I think, physically, mentally, like boys develop slower.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so that high school time gives people like that safety net, to develop, which I think is great. I just think that we could do so much more.
Be
with
properly
it
structured.
and make it enjoyable.
Sure.
Instead of, like most kids are not super stoked about their 4th year of English, and reading, different things.
Right,
like,
right.
come on. So, yeah.
That's
my
a
thought
very
on that.
interesting one. I like
Anybody
that.
else?
Yeah. Anybody? Sorry. Anybody else have a question there? Anybody on YouTube? We can see YouTube and we can see Facebook.
Oh my goodness, it's been a long
It has
long
been,
time.
Yeah, hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Non-government official. Is that what that is?
Is that Sharon? Are you there? NGOs corruption.
Hey Siri. No, just kidding. Wait.
It's non-government officials.
I thought so. Okay.
Non-government organization.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, which falls under what you said about also
Yeah.
private in the private field.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, you
think you
just
covered that
quit
then.
supporting
Yeah.
anything that's not following by the rules. Obviously, they can send back data right away. We all have to do that. If I get a car loan, every month that bank expects me to send them the money back.
Yeah.
Right? If I don't, they come and get my car.
Right.
Well, the same way we should do that with these groups. Like, this is what you applied for. This is what you said you were doing. If you don't take care of it, then you lose your funding. If you supply all the information that you're doing what you asked for, then you continue on with those things.
I got another weird one for you.
Okay.
Here's a weird one.
Yeah.
So I believe it was Venezuela, how they've really changed their nation by taking pretty much anybody with ink connected to a gang.
Yeah.
And correctly housing them in a prison.
Yeah.
It's quite intense from what I understand. But
Yeah.
how they actually offered to take a lot of our top tier criminals, and I think we pay them a reasonable amount they requested, but that they would take them. What are your thoughts on that? Essentially exporting criminals out of the U.S., but paying Venezuela to do it. And I think it was not like a slap in the face, but actually like, we have the facilities. If you would like to, we can do this. What are your thoughts on that? Because that wouldn't necessarily fall under privatized.
No, we're supported with our tax dollars. Help me out, Sharon. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Okay, the answer to your thing is in the U.S., in this state, just so you know, NGOs.
Yeah, non-government organizations.
Being corrupt.
Yeah.
If they were corrupt.
And being supported by our tax dollars.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
That is an absolute no, done, not. We do not support corrupt organizations. You get nothing. You get nothing. And if you're criminal, if you're a criminal organization, then you face other things. So incarceration, whatever is available. And if you're a foreign entity, that's a whole nother program. But we've made deals on all over the world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
In Washington State, if you get arrested in certain counties, it's no secret that you go before a judge. It's possible that the judge that's sentencing you is the owner of the place where you're going to be incarcerated. There's multiple judges in Washington State who own facilities that house inmates. So that's kind of a privatized deal.
That's interesting.
And it kind of seems like insider trading. And the military does use them, but if that goes on to say, Marcus, like contractors and those different things being corrupt. I mean, if you're doing business with the U.S., there needs to be accountability to the people that are in those positions. I don't think, like every U.S. citizen needs to have a list of who and what is going on with certain military operations. That's just, it's not going to happen. But if they're corrupt organizations and they're being funded by that, then it needs to stop happening.
Right. Are all prisons privately owned?
No, they're state.
Not in the U.S.
They're state, not all. So
that's why it kind of brings up the question of what are your thoughts on shipping them to another country?
This, like, if you get convicted in one county here, it's very possible you're getting shipped to another county to serve your time.
Sure.
And you lose your rights as a felon. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. So that it's a really big deal, and
that's true.
That's the consequences. So you lose your rights to do that. But I am not a fan at all about shipping people to another country. They don't have the same laws. They're not. I'm not a fan at all of that.
Gotcha.
At all. 0%.
And I don't think anything went of it. I think it was just out there. So I wanted to see what you thought was.
My thoughts. I'm not a fan at all. Yeah. I think we have the things here. I think you start handling things correctly. You start implementing the death penalty for the cases that it needs to happen with. You stop, incarcerating everybody for selling a joint on the street corner. It's nonsense. Fine people, like, just things that could be done with the criminal justice system here.
Sure.
That would change. But if it's a serious crime and the penalties were very, very serious here, like, you remember when, maybe you don't remember, but remember when the guy did something he wasn't supposed to do over in Asia somewhere and they caned him? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They public
Yeah, it was a kid.
publicly caned him,
Yeah,
and
I
people
think
were
that's Singapore.
outraged,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
guess what? Nobody wanted to
I,
do that. Like,
yeah.
okay, so um,
Not only that, they cane you till they feel you've learned your lesson. I've heard that
yes,
because I've heard
yes,
somebody being very concerned of going through because their
right,
friends are maybe a little shadier, and so they were concerned that they were going to receive a
yeah,
caning, and they were like, actually, they do it until they feel you've learned your They feel
yeah,
you've learned your lesson.
right. So I just think that you that the system that we have, I think we stop with this absurd criminal stuff. Like, for people, you basically, if you start putting everybody in prison,
Yeah,
if I put you in prison with Al Capone and you're his cellmate,
yeah.
by the time you come
I will
out,
be a criminal
you're
or I'll be
you
dead. Yeah,
one or the other,
yeah.
right? And you're not going to come out rehabilitated. You're coming
Right.
out, you
More
know,
more corrupt.
yeah, and you're
Yeah.
going to have way more ideas and better ways in order to
Sure.
live a silly life. So,
Sure.
my thought with that is that we start making the punishment for crimes. We rethink our system.
Like
And
extreme severe to
yeah, like, absolutely. Like, hey, if you're doing stuff, if you
like
take
child
someone's
crimes,
life,
yeah, or something
you're
like
in
that.
big trouble. If you hurt a child, you're done. Like, there's no,
Yeah.
it's just done.
Okay.
And you start eliminating those things, and then you handle the people here differently. And you can level up things like deterrence as well
Sure.
quickly.
Sure.
First crime, boom. Second time, whoa. Third time, it's over. Whatever.
Right. Right.
So
Not just going back to a place, but
right, like, no, it's
right.
bad.
Okay.
So
That's
I think
interesting.
you quit supporting that. And do you know what? Like, people talk about the crime rate in certain um,
States or cities
j- all over, just different things, different places. And I think that,
like Detroit.
well, all over. Chicago
Yeah.
is terrible. L.A., different
Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
and you have all these different things, and people try to blame it strictly on racial issues or
Sure.
whatever. But that is so unfair to every single person involved, right? Like, you're saying, oh, well, this population is incarcerated more because they're X, Y, Z, whatever, right? Like, no, people are people, and people have the ability to make good decisions. And
Yeah.
like, so start supporting from the bottom, like, in the very beginning, with your schools, with your communities, with the people, the churches. Start making a push for family values and to help people know right and wrong, and do that. And then, like, I think that thing goes away.
Okay.
We
Okay.
need to go back to chain gangs. Oh, man.
There's a
Boy,
lot of interesting comments in this chat. I tell
Yeah.
you what, people
That-
being
it's-
exposed left and right.
I mean, it's true. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the chain gang thing. Work, manual labor. They
Yeah.
do that. They still
Yeah.
do that here, Tina. It's all over the West Coast. Every prison system on the West Coast has for minimum security and even medium security. They do let some of those people, if you're not convicted of a violent crime with a weapon, then you're allowed to work and go out in a workforce and fight fire, do different things.
Sure.
And so they
Interesting.
do in some ways have that. And it's like a reward system. I think that's great. I think, idle hands are the devil's workshop for people like that, in those situations. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that that's a good idea. And they also have other stuff. The chain gangs was more of a punishment, I think, to shame them. I don't know. I mean, wearing the jumpsuit out there, it's kind of embarrassing. But I do agree with you that there probably needs to be, and we could utilize and even do some stuff within that the penal system to really make giant leaps in that. I want to talk about our tax dollars. Sharon brings up a point on here on YouTube, and she's saying our tax dollar supported these non-government places. And the thing is, like, there are many things that our tax dollars are being spent on, military wise. Some things, the dollars are going to be spent, and you're not going to know where it's going. The whole idea of the Secret Service, for example, is protecting our president, and our tax dollars are protecting our president. But they spend money in places with people to protect our
That can't be known.
the
Yeah.
position. So no one's going to know that, and um, it's true that they may be supported with our tax dollars, but there needs to be a proper accounting, an appropriate accounting of the dollars, what organization was given the money, and what it was assigned for, and then that could be assessed. And there should be
By proper levels, or
an
yeah,
internal
okay.
look, like the watchdogs within that group. For example, if the CIA was supporting hiring a company in a foreign nation to oversee some of our spies, you know, you're not going to tell
You can't
everybody
broadcast that. Yeah, sure.
what's going on with that. So there's going to be dollars that are spent. The thing is, if there's an exorbitant amount of dollars being spent based on the people that are in that field and are able to look at that, then there just needs to be those adjustments made, and not this just crazy taking advantage of the American people's money. So when we say we're spending tax dollars, yes, I understand that, but uh, that's how government works in some ways. Like, that's how it takes place. That's what you're doing. Just so you know, they said no taxation without representation. If we're being
Yeah.
represented by the people that we've elected to be there to look out over those things, and they're doing what they need to do properly, then there shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. Um, I got kind of a weird one. What's your another one? What's your thoughts
Sure,
on
Tina, we'll tag you.
Yeah, we'll tag you. What's your thoughts on paying families of people who have fought against the U.S., such as the Middle East, where three-letter agencies have been pretty known to, now data trackable, see that there's millions of dollars coming in to pay families that actually fought against us while over there. What's your thoughts on that?
I think you have to be careful when you discuss who we're paying and what we're paying in that context that you're talking about, because many of the people that we paid to help us get in those places, we changed our mind and decided to
Ooh,
go against them.
yeah, see, that's why I
So there's
asked.
two sides
Yeah,
to
I thought it was actually going
to
to be
these
very direct and easy, but okay.
to these things. I think I think if you went back and you actually looked, hey Joseph, how you doing? God bless you. I love watching those Moses Lake kids play some hoops. That was awesome. So I think if you looked at Osama bin Laden, I think we funded him at first.
Oh,
Is one of them that
oh,
he was on our side.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
when we decided we wanted some oil in Iraq,
Whoops.
that's a whole nother subject. But I do think that you could look at that.
I think that's more on the
I think it's
slush fund
common
side.
knowledge,
Yeah,
and I think that's what you're talking about.
yeah,
If we're
yeah,
funding people,
yeah. Well,
then
it's just
we're using them to overthrow their government, then we go back. I mean, I think that's been going on for a long time.
correct. I'm talking on the side of where it's just open that we are paying families of people who fought against U.S. soldiers where they were in combat engagements. They died, and now we're paying their families from taxpayer money over there.
That's crazy.
Well, it's happening, but yeah, that's what I was asking. I mean, obviously, there's, like we mentioned earlier, there's wild things that we've done as a nation.
I mean, if you're talking about an enemy combatant,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I mean, you don't have a problem paying for Japan, though, right? I mean,
I have some interesting ideas on that, I'm sure.
oh, well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like,
I
Did we
think
not
I
do
think
it
we're
there?
starting to get back on that track with them,
I
where
think
they're
we
going to
are.
be a little more
Yeah,
paying,
absolutely. But you see my point.
which I'm happy about.
Is that we did that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we give, on that topic, I can't believe that we allow people that we have taken over, right? Like,
Here we go. Oh, we're getting banned for sure. Shadow banning's coming.
I can't
I
believe,
feel it right now, brother.
like, if you
This
conquer
tech
a
devil's
nation,
about to shadow ban us.
if you conquer it,
Whoa! Wait.
then you don't give them the ability, it's wild. Anyways.
No, it's true. It
Greenland,
is true.
Greenland. I'm a big supporter of that.
What's
if,
happening?
The
Us
Netherlands
buying
wants us to, if we can buy Greenland, they become a part of the U.S. Like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Even it's not a state. It's just like what I'm saying. Like, I think that's great. I think the people there want it. I think the Netherlands wants it.
I think they
and I
do
think
too.
we're excited, just the same way like with Canada.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you put that to a vote, I don't know. I think maybe if you put the Canadians and asked them, hey, would you like to become part of the United States? We can combine, everything that we do, and you could participate with our system.
Our trade.
Just like we are a constitutional republic. Would you like to do that? And
Yeah.
I think that could be pretty awesome. Just a thought.
Boy,
Why
that is
Russia
just a
sold us
thought.
Alaska?
Why's that?
Because they thought it was a chunk of ice.
I heard
There was
something
no
else,
value.
but it was potential, just hearsay. That
What did you think?
there was an agreement back for the price that we bought it for, which was pretty low, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was super cheap.
It's like $7 million or something
nothing.
like that. Which even then,
nothing.
but still, it was nothing even then.
Right.
But that there was a deal made from somebody back and forth between them, and then like a war later. I need the facts really before I pull
No.
this out. But essentially, they said a war later somebody paid it back, and that's why the $7 million. It was that cheap.
Look,
They just thought
Russia
it was worthless.
thought it was worthless.
Oh man.
And they could get something for
Yeah.
it.
But what'd we get?
Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually go back to that conquered people, conquered thing, because I think that is an interesting topic, because it's something that nations, I think, all over the world kind of deal with, where a people group that's been conquered, us a little more than most,
I'll give you an example.
where we conquer.
If you buy something,
Yep.
the previous owner has no more rights to it.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah. Because you've purchased it with an agreement
Right.
from them.
So, there was this thing in America. One of our presidents, I think it was Andrew Jackson. I just have to double check. But I'm not, no. But
I'm not
the
gonna-
Louisiana Purchase. You can look.
Oh,
Louisiana
yeah.
Purchase.
Okay,
What
yeah.
president?
Yeah.
I can't believe I
It's
didn't
all right. We won't hold
know
it against
that.
you. We're about to have
Exactly.
Faith Life Academy if you'd like to learn these.
Yes. But we purchased the Louisiana Purchase opened up this territory, and so everything that came with it, is there. At that point, once you own something like that, if people fight against you and say it's theirs, then that combat. Then once they wage
Jefferson.
war, it was Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson, yeah. Andrew Jackson. What was that about? Oh my. Anyways,
He had something he was out
I think you
recently
gotta.
for
I think you gotta be. You
review.
gotta be wise. Yeah, it's not something I really want to talk about on a broadcast. But I do think that we do things like, look, if you're
Sure.
an American, you're an American.
Yeah.
Whether you're a first American or a second American
Sure.
or a third, we're Americans, and we all follow the same rules. I'm not a fan of people not paying taxes. I'm paying taxes, but someone next to me is not paying taxes, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of we're Americans, right?
Not paying taxes because of a
Because you're a part of a
national
certain group.
reason. Yeah,
And,
okay.
Like any group,
I agree.
I'm not a fan of that
Sure.
at all.
Sure.
So,
No, I think that's
anyways.
well said.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So,
Reparations or something else.
yeah,
That's a silliness. You saw BLM's things getting removed?
they should.
Yeah, their big mural they put up is actually getting demolished.
Yeah, it needs to
Yeah,
be.
and a lot of their statues are coming.
Can you believe the nonsense that was allowed
It was nuts.
by that, where you start taking
Chaos.
down,
Yeah.
all this stuff. It's
History of the U.S.
Right. That's what communist countries do.
Yeah, they've removed
Right?
the history.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
It
We're
is.
not communist.
No.
You know, we don't want to be. And if you go to communist countries, you understand that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's okay. We love people, but we don't have to love the system. And we want our system to get better.
We do. We do want it to be better.
We love all you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
Wow, that was a transition. Hey, thank you for joining us this awesome Tuesday night for Faith Life broadcast. What a way it started, what a way it went through the middle, and what a way it's ended. We love you guys so much. Thank you for watching us tonight from 6 to 8 o'clock.